Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy, Grandmastaj, and it is time, okay? It is time. You've seen the title of the video. First of all, before I even get into that, 2,000 subscribers. I got 2,000 subscribers on my channel. Can you believe that? You guys have been crazy with the support with Guilty Gear Strive. Like, honestly, thank you so much. It's been awesome. It's really been awesome. But anyways, you guys have seen the title of today's video, okay? I will be going over the blood gauge, okay? That is this tiny little thing in the corner. That is the bane of all Nago players' existence. I will explain how it works, why it works the way it does, how is it good, how is it bad, blah, 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 blah. All the things you need to know in order to be a better Nago player. Because, hey, here's the thing. If you don't manage this bar correctly, you cannot play Nago effectively. But, of course, before we get into all that, you know what your boy's about to say. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and I stream live at twitch.tv/grandmastaj. Okay, it is time. Let's do this. So firstly, when talking about the blood gauge, it is important to know, why do you need to manage it? Why can't I just do this all day long? Oh wait, yep, because I will lose all of my health. About 50% of it, and that is not fun. And then you lose access to your special moves, and it's really bad. It's dumb. It's stupid. It's bad. It's horrible. It's really wild. It's so bad. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now that I've made a very clear and convincing argument as to why you can't look extra super duper ultra mondo cool when you're doing all this fun stuff, let's talk about some of the benefits to raising your gauge. I'm not sure how many of y'all knew this, but your sword normals actually get a pretty nice damage buff the higher it goes up. See, it did 70, 80, 90. I believe it's like a 10% increase or something like that. But also, they get a range buff. So, you see this? This is level 0. This is level 2. And then finally, you get the seismotomic bat stick. But not only do they get a damage and a range buff, but they also get a speed buff as well. Yes, that is true. Your normals get faster. Check out this combo really quick. That doesn't combo. As you can see, there is no number indication saying that combos, right? However, now it does. 2 bars and above, you get to do things like that, right? And at 3 bars, your 2 slash will actually combo into your 5 heavy slash as well, making it a very, very, very great confirm. Let's just say you're going a bit too ham, okay? You're having a bit too much fun and you pop a blood vessel. Here's what you can do to make sure that you don't get utterly annihilated while going into blood rage mode. When it comes to activating blood rage itself, it is actually a kind of burst style move that sort of staggers back your opponent. And here's a couple things you need to know about it, right? For starters, it is actually going to be minus on hit, punishable on hit. You see, it says the golden words punish, but it's only slightly punishable. I believe the activation must be around, I'll say, in the range of like -8 or -9. Now, what does that mean for you? That means that, unfortunately, well, fortunately for you, unfortunate for your opponent, if you pop a blood vessel mid-range, because of the pushback, a lot of moves, as you can see, the move whiffed, a lot of moves don't actually reach you at the range that is punishable. Now, I've set Kai to do 2 slash, and as you can see, I block it. So, having it bursting mid-screen is actually not too bad because you can't really get punished for it. And there's another pretty nifty little trick that I'm sure you did not know. If you hold FD, you actually don't go into blood rage until you let it go. Now, the reason why this is so great is usually your opponent's not looking at your blood gauge unless they know the matchup. If they know the matchup, they're going to look at your blood gauge. But if they don't, and even if they do, like sometimes it gets a little too hectic or whatever, you can actually hold it down and wait for your opponent to get close to you, and then basically have like a mini burst, right? A mini burst. You knock them back, and then you're able to safely go into this mode. Now, this is my fatherly warning to you, okay? Listen, son, I know what you want to do when you're in blood rage. I know you're like, wait, Josh, well, I could just spend 50 meter and it. Don't do what I think you're going to do, okay? Because look, I want you to see this, okay? I want you to see this with your own 2 eyes. Thinking that you can get out of blood rage using this move is only technically right. This move is like, I think it's like minus like 60 something on block. You're gonna get punished, all right? Do not use his special move in neutral, random. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Now, if you're in Blood Rage and you manage to tag him with one of these, then great. That's awesome. You took out half their health and probably killed them. I would suggest working on your one-hit confirms so that you can actually confirm off of 5 heavy slash. Because sometimes you can just throw it out in neutral and you're like, oh, it made contact, bink! And then just take out, like, just eradicate them and their entire bloodline. You know the deal. Now that I've told you the goods and most of the bads, let me explain what increases it. You might be thinking, hey man, I know what increases it. Okay, I do a little bit of this, you know. All of a sudden, I'm in Blood Rage mode. Like, come on, it's not rocket science. It is rocket science, okay? And that's why I'm going to tell you why it's rocket science. Using special moves will actually increase your blood gauge, and I'm going to use bars as in, like, the individual notches. It'll increase it by about 75% of 1 bar, as you can see. Yeah, about there. Now, using Fukyo also uses blood gauge, but it uses a significantly less amount of blood gauge. It's around, I would say, about 33% of 1 bar. Something like that. Now, here's something you probably did not know. Or you probably did know because you're probably too busy spamming special moves. Anyway, the blood gauge will increase according to how many special moves you use consecutively. What does that mean? So if I just do Beyblade, right? Look, it's not going to increase by much, or it does, but like it increases slowly. Now, if I do Beyblade into that, you see how fast it's shooting up? It shoots up incredibly fast, and this is important to know. The more special moves you use in a row, the faster the blood gauge will go. And that is important to further understand how to decrease your blood gauge. See, there are a couple ways to decrease your blood gauge. First and foremost, and probably most common, is his Blood-Sucking Universe, the command grab. This command grab will decrease it by basically all of the bar. I go more in extensive detail in my command grab guide. I'm not going to do that here, but it's not the full bar. It's like almost the full bar. And of course, hitting your opponent with your gargantuan normals will also decrease the blood gauge. As you can see, it's going down pretty darn fast. Now, if you are opting to like not do any of that, you kind of just want to play a very tanky defensive style, I don't know why you would, but your blood gauge will decrease. It will decrease very, very slowly. In fact, I timed it, and it'll decrease for 1 bar. Remember, you have 3 of them. For 1 bar, it'll take 40 seconds to decrease your entire blood gauge. So, I'm sorry, not even your entire blood gauge. 1 bar. So, 1 times 3, that's 120 seconds. That's 2 minutes, bro. So I have Nago's dust loop pulled up, and the reason why I do is because they actually go into the actual values as to how much each hit decreases it by. I'm not going to use that. That's nerd stuff. I'm just going to try to use a very basic layman's terms. Now, how his sword normals decrease it in terms of the value is slash normals will decrease it by about like 10% of 1 bar. About 10% of a bar. Okay, now heavy normals such as heavy slash, 6H, and 2H, that'll decrease it by about half of 1 bar, so about 50% of 1 bar. Now on block, your slash normals will no longer decrease your blood gauge at all, but your heavy slash normals on block will decrease it by the same increment as a slash normal on hit. And for his far slash Rekka, the first 2 hits count as slash normals, and the last hit will actually count as a heavy slash normal. Now that all sounds a little bit confusing. That's fine. You can watch it over if you need to, or go on the actual official dust loop. You will see the actual official terms there, but that is just the basic overall explanation of it. And finally, his super. Yes, his super doesn't do absolutely nothing. It actually does decrease the blood gauge. It decreases it by, I believe it is 2/3 of the entire gauge, so about 2 bars. As you can see, it's now starting to shoot down. However, it does decrease it over 6 seconds, and that is the important thing to note. So here's where it gets complicated, okay? I'm going to give you a couple of examples as to how the increase versus decrease works. Basically, when you use special moves, and like Fukyo and all that stuff, your blood gauge will increase very quickly. When you use normals, like sword normals that decrease your blood gauge, it'll decrease, but it will not decrease as fast as it increases. Let me give you an example. So this is a very common situation. You find yourself at 3 bars, and so that you have a giant beat stick of a normal. So you kind of, tag your opponent a couple times. And as you can see, the blood gauge will actually begin to go down. The reason why this is because 5 heavy slash decreases the blood gauge like more so than the Fukyo increases it. However, let's say that you're dangerously close to popping blood gauge, and you keep tagging your opponent. Why? Because they're just not blocking at all whatsoever, so it's whatever. Oh, wait, what happened? What? Why did I go into blood gauge? I thought it decreased more than it increased. That is because special moves will increase faster than your blood gauge will go down. I'm going to show you that exact same scenario. I believe it was about, I did Fukio about 5 times. I'll show you that exact same scenario, but with less blood gauge. As you can see, it crept up and then finally shot back down because it's finally stabilizing. So the blood value that you see right now is actually the true blood value that it's supposed to be at. But it'll kind of like, it kind of has to like, think of it this way. Say you have this cup, right? Imagine using special moves as filling up the cup with water without a lid. And using sword normals to decrease your blood gauge is kind of like pouring out all that water with a funnel. It's limited. And the same thing applies to a super. Now take a look at my blood gauge. You see how it's really, really high? So if I do something like this, I'm for sure gonna go into blood rage mode, right? Well, take a look at this. And really take a look at the blood gauge after super. Ooh, just so close. That is a prime example of I'm literally filling my cup with water, but I'm also at the same time trying to get rid of it using a tiny little spout. But it will eventually normalize and then go away. I know it all is kind of confusing, but basically consider, you kind of just have to consider what normals did you use and how many special moves did you use, right? As you can see, my blood gauge is really, really low, even though I used 2 of them. That's because I used sword normals in between. That's all really confusing stuff, and like, I don't expect you to get it the first time. Check out Dustloop. Check out, I would even suggest check out other videos. It's kind of a complicated topic. Experiment for yourself. Really try to digest how this thing works, because it is very important to understanding how to play Nago effectively. Now, in terms of playstyles at each level, basically, when you have 0 bars, right, you can do things like Shadow Clone Fukio pretty comfortably. In fact, you can even do 2 of them, right? You can go for things like Beyblade and neutral, right? You can go for a lot more of your frame prep situations, you know what I mean? That's kind of like if you have 0 bar, the world's your oyster. Now, when I'm sitting around 2 bars, this is when I kind of want to be a bit more modest, right? I typically go for more like Fukio stuff, try to get a command grab, be a little cheeky with it, stuff like that. You can also finally go for like things like 5K into 6H, which is a pretty good confirm, or you know, just 1 frame trap essentially, and that's pretty much all you really have. And finally, say you're sitting at 3 bars, well, then all you're doing is this all day long, all day, every day, right? Kind of like going in on your opponent, trying to clip their legs, trying to clip their toes. If you get a hit and end up going back down to about 2 bars, like see how it's like really filled 2 bar, then you can try to do a bit more Fukio stuff, a bit more Fukio shenanigans, try to get in, try to land that command grab, and reset. And that is it. Listen, guys, I know it's a lot to digest. I know it's a lot of information. But remember, I believe in you. It's complicated, and this is why I kind of left this video for last. It is important to know, but it's kind of like, you kind of need a bachelor's degree to understand how this whole blood gauge thing works and to understand how to use it correctly. Honestly, it's more so just feeling than anything else. So just get out there, get some games in. Okay, experiment by yourself, and really try to digest this whole thing. The Dustloop link, if you don't know, go to dustloop.com. I'll put the link down in the description. You can go and check out the values yourself. I'm not going to go into all that nerd stuff because I think that just takes too dang long. Anyways, I stream at twitch.tv/grandmastaj. You already know that. Get out of here. Go, sue, leave. Have fun. Goodbye.